here's the big question, Alison. How do you spark inspiration in others? How does an executive manager or entrepreneur begin inspiring employees? Could you give me an example?
Yeah, one of the things that we've learned is how inspiration is truly personal in terms of what inspires each individual. So we discovered these different, we call them engines of inspiration, but they're pathways that make it more likely for inspiration to occur. But what those pathways are to you might be different than to me, than to somebody else. So part of what managers have to be doing is really understanding from their employees and sort of getting into their psyche to understand what is it that does uniquely inspire them. And they can do that by asking a variety of different types of questions to really understand them. It's almost taking a coaching approach to management, which, by the way, right now, we're hearing is incredibly important. We hear a lot right now how employees want their managers to take more of a coaching approach in terms of how they interact with them. And so it's a skill set that we see managers today really focused on developing. So ask your employees using coaching questions to think about a time when they were inspired. Where were they? What were they doing? What was most important to them? What were the types of values that they were aligned with and expressing during those times? And usually when people begin to look back, and they'll notice patterns about things that inspire them. So I'll give you a few examples. One example from the book is environment. And I remember we interviewed several different leaders, and when they talked about the places where they got most inspired, and they said, it is about my environment. So when I'm out walking in nature, when I'm in a museum or looking at art, or when I'm even in my own office, but I'm creating something in the environment around me that is moving to me, that sparks inspiration. Now, that's really unique because there are some people who say, well, I don't even notice my environment. That's really not that important to me, right? But for some, environment really matters. And when they realize that about themselves, then they can begin to craft and think about, okay, if I'm not inspired today, I need to either change my environment or go to a different environment, or think about how I can utilize my environment to shift those feelings. Another example that I think is really interesting, and I hear a lot of leaders talking about today, is this idea of unstructured think time.